Hi guys, I see a few of you are popping in already, so I'm going to give it a few minutes here. I hope everybody is having an amazing Wednesday, coming back off of a holiday week or a holiday weekend. So I know my family and I are here in Wisconsin. It's been amazing adventure so far. So I'm going to give everyone here just a few minutes. I see some names starting to pop up, so I'm going to give people a few minutes to really pop in over here. And as they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. So, with some of the names that I'm seeing on the attendee list, I know that you guys already know me, but a few of you are new to who I am. My name is Christy Cox. I have been either working as a founder myself for I've actually founded three businesses and sold one of them in the past. And I've been working with founders just like you for now for over 15 years in one capacity or another. So very well versed in the spirit of entrepreneurship and absolutely love everyone who is brave enough to make this journey. So a little bit more about me and my family. I actually am building my current business while traveling around the country with my family in an RV, which you can't see behind me right now. But and I've been doing that now for almost 2 years. So my husband and I sold our last business in 2023. We decided to hit the road, and I decided to build yet another one focused on really helping other founders avoid all of the mistakes and pitfalls that I've made in the past. And so that's one of the things that we are actually here to talk about today. So I'm still seeing a few people trickle in here, but would love to go ahead and get started and kick things off. Today, we're really going to focus on getting your business out of your brain. So as a founder, and even, myself going through this through the third time, one of the things that I've seen come up time and time again is that so much of our business really does live in our brain, and transferring that knowledge to the others that we're bringing in, whether they are our AI agents and team members or they are our real life team members, is a really difficult task. And so today we're going to talk about exactly how you can do that with a little bit easier process using both Claude and Notion. One of the things that I've really honed in on and developed over the past year and a half is how to think about your CEO operating system. That system, the tech stack that's really, again, going to transfer that knowledge that you have living in your brain to others so that they can build the business that you want for the future. There are really three layers to your CEO operating system. So you're going to see that here. That is the think layer. This is where the AI, the Notion, Claude, all of that really lives. You have the execute layer. That's like the hands of the business. So that's the operations layer, how the work actually gets done. And then the grow business, that's the revenue layer. So that's like I use Go High Level in my business, but your CRM, your pipeline, those workflows that are really nurturing the people and prospects and leads that you have that generate the revenue that makes your business possible. We're here to focus today solely on this think layer and more specifically on Claude and Notion and how you can use those in your business. So let's talk for a minute here about why I see most founders get stuck. And like, trust me, again, I know this because I've been through this three times. And even with the knowledge I have within my role as an integrator, as a fractional COO, and even as someone who's already been through this, it is so easy for us to get hung up here. The reason that you get stuck is because you're really the best part of your business. And that's why it can't grow. So many of us have a very hard time transferring our skills, our knowledge, our expertise over to others, even our AI team members, in a way that really has them be able to take key things off of our plate. And so, it's really important to recognize that when you're at this place, you're trying to step out of the mode of technician, the doer of all the things, and into the role of CEO, your skill sets actually have to change. When you're in this phase, I mean, every client, they want a piece of you. Every decision from your team, from your AI platforms, it waits on you. Your calendar and capacity really becomes the ceiling to your growth. And most of you probably have realized this. When you stop, the revenue flow stops. If you're not selling every single minute of the day, if you're stuck in client work, if you want to take a vacation, you get sick for a few days, everything slows down and comes to a screeching halt. And I bet you're just like me. You've bought all the tools and courses. You were brought into it. You were drinking by a fire hose, just trying to get through everything as quickly as you can because you really didn't have the capacity to even be there and doing the thing. But nothing ever really stuck because you didn't have the structure to support it. And honestly, you probably didn't have the mental bandwidth to take it all in. And my guess is you're also probably here, most of you, because you really want to start to use AI in your business in a very useful way, but you don't know where to start. And the information, it is just coming at us. I keep using this phrase, but it is like drinking from a fire hose, and it's just coming at us at a rapid fire pace, and we just don't know where to start. And my guess is you also know you should be out of the most of the day-to-day delivery, or at least part of it, but you don't really know, again, how to bring in that support that can have you start to see that path to really remove yourself from it. So we're going to talk about a little bit of all of this today, and again, how you can use Claude and Notion to support you in it. So one of the things I've been sitting in again for like the last 2 years is that, and I've really thought about a lot, is like there is a 6-step process that is critical to getting you out of that place where you are the bottleneck and the cat to your business. The first is that you do need to audit the 3 T's: the time, the team, and the tech. Find out where you're really getting stuck and where you need a little help and support to get you out of that place where everything is living in your head. Number 2, and this is the one I really run into the most, even with my multi-million-dollar clients that I work with, you've got to define what success looks like. You've got to describe what I call your $1 million plus destinations. That is your vision for the big picture version of your business, your ideal role within it, because it looks a little different for everyone. Your ideal client or customer experience. What is it that you're trying to create that really differentiates you and sets you apart in the marketplace? And then the metrics. I mean, those are important. The dollars, the number of clients you want to serve, the churn rate and retention rate. What are the metrics that are going to help you build that business that you envision for the future? This is the big picture outcome that you're committed to. You're going to hear me talk a little bit more about outcomes and priorities in a little bit. Number 3, you've got to map the business. That includes your offers. That includes what your current state of your business is. What does it look like in an ideal world? What needs productization? And one of the most useful things that I think anybody can do is to map the client or the customer journey. And almost no one I ever work with has ever taken the time to do that. Number 4, this is what we're focused on today. You've got to start to get it all out of your head. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, how to use Claude and Notion to get all that stuff out of your head, to have it live in a single source of truth so that you can start to transfer knowledge to others, whether that is, again, your AI team or your real team and the people that you're bringing into your business. Number 5, you've got to make execution inevitable. This means that you are talking and focused on the outcomes you want to create, the things you're prioritizing to actually produce those outcomes in your business. You've got to talk about task ownership and accountability. You've got to talk or start to figure out how to set the systems up in a way that really gives you visibility and has your team know exactly what it is that they're responsible for. And then number 6, you've got to measure and adjust. Look, Peter Drucker said it best. You cannot manage what you don't measure. So if you're not tracking the activities that you're actually doing, if you're not tracking the results that they're creating, you can't do more of the things that work and less of the things that don't. And the reality is, that's how we work smarter, not harder. So that's why once you get to this place and you start to get into that rhythm, that CEO rhythm, you can start to make the changes to your business that really has you grow exponentially. So why is this so hard for most of us to make this transition? Well, the first thing is that most people think it's either a time or a team problem. But the reality is that's not usually what's happening. Usually what's happening is it's actually a structure problem. We don't know how to set up the back end system of our business in a way that has others be able to come into it. And really, the issue here is that the majority of the business lives in your head as the founder. And even if you think you're transferring that knowledge or you're having conversations clearly, most of the time, we're not. We live so close to all of that context and so close to all of that information that it becomes almost impossible for us to explain it in a way that others can really understand it. And then we're operating usually at such a rapid fire speed that when we make updates to key documents or key processes or key things that are happening in our business, we usually end up doing it in one of the 19,000 versions of the Google Doc that you have living somewhere that no one can actually find. Excuse me. So this is how this shows up. I bet this shows up for some of you. You can drop it in the chat if it actually has. I bet you, if you've brought in a virtual or executive assistant, or you have a team, you find yourself, or I would even say if you're operating with ChatGPT or Claude, you find yourself explaining the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe Claude has a hallucination and you're like, man, I know I have already told you this. We have already had this discussion. Can you not go back and just find it in one of the millions of chats that we've already had? Or if you have a team member or you bring on new team members, they're asking the same questions on repeat over and over and over again. And you don't have a clear place to say, hey, it's in this resource. I need you to go here and find out before you're asking me any questions about it. Number two, and this comes up a lot, you're practicing what I call spaghetti noodle strategies because you don't know what actually works. Spaghetti noodle strategies are when we just fling things against the wall to see if they stick. And we are all super guilty of this because when we don't track our metrics, when we don't realize what actually produced the results before, we get into a state, especially us as founders and entrepreneurs and creatives and people who have a lot of great ideas, we get into this state in this place where we're like, oh, this could work. Oh, you know what? What if I did this thing? And again, we haven't tracked, we don't have the data to back up whether or not that thing will actually work. That is what I call the spaghetti noodle strategies. The next one, and I just referenced this a little bit, we're going to talk about it again. I bet you have about 20 versions of 15 different Google Docs that reference some process that you had, an idea that you had, key information that would be highly relevant to your team, especially if you're using Claude because it spits out a new Google Doc for every single thing that you do. And then I bet that if you're in a hurry, you don't move it into the correct folder, you don't archive or delete the old one, and then you realize later that you don't know exactly what Google Doc version you should be working on. Or if you do, your team doesn't have that knowledge yet. Maybe if you're operating in Slack, you didn't pin it in the right channel, or even if you did, you didn't change it out when you make the updates. Again, you're not alone in this. I see it time and time and time again. Most of my clients come to me in this space and then they're like, hey, I gave you this document. And I'm like, no, that's a completely different version than the one that you did and sent me before. So I completely understand everything. And then number four, you can't step away. And this is a big one for all of us. Everyone needs a break. Everyone needs an actual vacation. Everyone needs to be able to take some time off and know that their business is going to continue to move forward. And if you are a founder and an entrepreneur, if you're operating as a team of one or even a team of three, this is often not the truth because the moment that you step away, something will break, the revenue will stop, there are leads that are not getting followed up with, a client will have an emergency and you don't have anyone on your team who can actually respond, or if they can, they don't know how. We're going to talk about how to solve all of this today with a very simple structure and format that you can easily install in your own business. So first, let's talk about what the CEO operating system is. The CEO operating system is the tools and the tech stack and the back end that allows you to operate from anywhere as the CEO of your business. This is the system that is going to give you freedom to, again, actually operate from anywhere. I've spoken to it in the very, very beginning. I'm going to mention it again here. There are really three layers to this operating system. You have the think layer. So that's the AI and the strategy layer. This is your thinking problem that assigns out execution in the place where decisions, priorities, and all of your logic gets captured. This is how your team will stop needing you to actually repeat yourself. And it shows up in these platforms. Claude, you can use ChatGPT, but Claude is much more functional. Notion as your single source of truth. Fathom as your AI note taker. By the way, just a key note here, Fathom is free for most of you. And then I have recently started using Whisperflow as well, and I absolutely love it. The second layer is the execution layer, the operations layer. This is where communication and progress actually happens. It's how work gets owned, tracked, and completed. It's where client service and delivery happens. It's where your team and you live and operate. I use Asana for my project management system. There are others out there that you can use, but I do find Asana is the most intuitive and easy to use, not only for you, but for the teams that you bring in. This also includes Slack, Google Workspace, and even Loom. And then finally, you have that grow layer. This is the revenue layer. This is where your leads become clients. And then your clients, they turn into recurring revenue and referrals. And this can happen now if you set it up properly without you having to manage all of the handoffs, without you storing all of the information in your head, without you having to be the centerpiece that's actually telling people when and how to operate. And this looks like your go high level in your CRM. It's your offer delivery system. And all three of these layers are interconnected in a way that when you set them up correctly, again, people are able to operate autonomously. They're able to be high performers. They're super clear in what they're supposed to be doing and when. This is how you start to gain additional freedoms to allow you to be the visionary and live in that role of CEO so that you can really grow this business and what you see as the ideal version of it for the future. So again, one of the things I want to talk about too is what your job and function is as CEO. Like many of us, myself included, we don't necessarily want to get out of client delivery, but you still have a role as CEO of your company. Your role is to decide on the outcomes and then lead the team to get there. Now, your team, it can be both AI and actual real functional members. It can be offshore talent or US based talent. There's a million versions of what team could look like for you. But what is important for you to realize is that as CEO, your value is not in the doing of every single thing. Your value is to define where you're going and then to be clear and lead your team on how to get there. At some point on your journey as CEO, my business partner, who I think is on here today, always talks about, or he always makes the motion of flipping around the hats. Your job is not to wear all the hats for all of eternity. Your job is to start to bring in people and tech in order to relieve you of those things so that you can create this vision of the future and help your team to get there. So your first function as CEO is to, again, decide on the outcomes you're committed to. What's that big picture vision? What is your ideal role within it? What's your ideal client experience or your customer experience? What are the metrics that you're committed to creating within your business? What does success actually look like for any key period, both with your company in the big picture? And then what does it look like for this year, this quarter, this month? You've got to break that down. The second part is to define the priorities for any given period. What actions are you going to take to actually make those outcomes become a reality for you and your business? You can't focus on everything at once. So you've got to define what is the priority for this specific period. And we've got to talk about the right things to do in the right order. You can't focus on everything at once. Trust me, I've really, really tried. Number three, execution. This is where you are helping your team to outline what projects actually look like, those big picture projects that are going to help you produce the outcomes you want. This is where the tasks get assigned out and assigned in Asana with the full context added. This is how you give your team permission and tools to move without asking you questions, without asking for your permission, without having to be in the middle of it all. And then finally, you have to start to measure and adjust. This is your job as CEO in the beginning. Later on, when you get super big, you can hire people to help you do this, at least especially the measure part. But right now, that is your job and your function as CEO. You've got to stop the spaghetti noodle strategies. You've got to actually track what actions you're taking, start to figure out the things that are working, start to figure out what's not, so you can, again, focus on the things that really, really do. And that's going to help you determine what to do next. And we're going to talk in just a few minutes about a very specific AI tool that you can build in Claude to help you specifically with this last part. And that tool is your AI integrator. So what is an integrator for those of you who don't know? An integrator is a person who helps the CEO really turn their vision into reality. But the truth is that most of us cannot afford one in the beginning stages of our business. We can't afford one for up until we're hitting near or at seven figures. So I'm going to give you the tools to build your own AI version of this. I have been operating as an integrator now, or a VP of client services, for almost 7 years. And this role is integral to the success of those seven-figure CEOs. But what I realized is that, again, most of us can't afford it until we start to hit that close to that $1 million mark. And so I wanted to have a way to give you the ability to build your own within Claude so that you can make use of that same person who keeps you in line with what it is that you actually want to create. An AI integrator is going to be the one that helps you define the outcomes you're committed to. It helps you keep your vision, priorities, and quarterly commitments front and center every single week without you having to remember what they are or go out and tell the team. It's going to help you prioritize the actions that are going to actually move the needle on your business. So it helps you decide what actually matters this week based on where you're headed, not on all the noise that's happening out there, all everywhere, especially right now, not on what's the easiest track to take. It's going to help you actually prioritize based upon the actions that you've taken before. Your integrator is going to help you review the metrics. You just simply have to export or connect all of the data, and it's going to help you actually analyze the metrics that come in. So again, you can determine how the best path forward and how to work smarter, not harder. And then one of the biggest things I think that you can take advantage of is that it's going to update Notion as your single source of truth. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then it's going to assign out the work to your team members. This is how I actually use it on my travel days. My travel days are some of the most productive that I can have because I have full-on conversations with my AI integrator. And then it uses, and then it assigns out a lot of the tasks to my team, giving it full context in the description of what it is that they're supposed to be doing, the instructions for how it should be done. It'll assign it out while I actually travel. So then my business actually keeps moving forward, again, without me having to be in front of my computer all of the time. Your AI integrator can actually take care of that for you. It becomes the thinking partner that really holds your operational big picture for you, and then it assigns out the work again for you without you having to get caught in the middle. And somebody else said this to me recently, like without having to switch context nearly as frequently. That's going to help you keep yourself in CEO mode a little bit longer. So let's talk about the first tool that makes it all possible, and that is Claude. So for many of you, you may have already been playing in Claude. You may still be using ChatGPT. I did make the switch. Now, I still do use ChatGPT in several areas of my business because if you are playing in Claude, you know that the usage can run out relatively quickly. And so I differentiate what needs to go in what place, and do still make use of ChatGPT. But with Claude in this way, look, you're not just learning AI. You're really getting, again, an operating partner that you can afford. Look, Claude shouldn't be used as your search engine. Again, go to ChatGPT if that's what you're using it for. It's not just a content writer. It's not a shortcut, but you can actually build out agents and help train certain projects on the things that you need in your business. Claude really can know your business and can help keep you in check. You can train it on your goals, your constraints, your clients, your patterns. It's going to help you prioritize what's important and keep you from, again, flinging those spaghetti noodles against the wall that waste both your time and your money. It's going to update key information for you so you don't have to go in and update it yourself. It's going to actually capture what's important and then update your single source of truth in Notion when you need it to, when you tell it to. There's no more searching for those lost Google Docs across 15 different folders if you actually remembered to move them into the folders. And it's going to, no more floating documents that you forgot to archive, you forgot to put in the trash. I've been there. I've done that more than a few times. In this instance, Claude can work as your integrator. So again, it can hold that full operational picture while you actually take the time to lead your business, to strategize, to be heads down, to operate as a CEO like you need to. And then it's going to assign the work out to your team for you so that they can execute. No more having to go into your project management system, think of the instructions on your own and spend 15 minutes trying to create the tasks to assign it out to your team. Claude can actually handle that for you. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about the cost. For those of you on here that do follow me, you know I am very big on what I call founder math. I operated as a fractional CFO for a number of years. And so numbers and data are definitely my thing. The cost of Claude for the Pro plan is about $20 a month. Now, I actually think it's a much or a worthwhile investment to go ahead and upgrade to the $100 or $200 a month plan because the ROI is definitely there. Again, my partner who's on here, he's actually on the $200 a month plan because he's actually using Claude to update our website for us. So tons of uses in here. Not going to dig into all those right now, but if you actually wanted to hire out an integrator to work in your business, someone like me, you're going to spend $3,000 to $10,000 a month pretty easily. But instead, right now you're just committing to $20 a month or $100 a month, and then maybe 30 minutes of your time every single week. And as this partner starts to gain more context and knowledge about what it is that you do, it is going to be able to help direct you on, again, the things you need to prioritize to get you to where you want to go in the future. Your AI integrator, it really uses Claude as its brain, and then Notion becomes its memory. So let's talk for a minute here about Notion. And I know this is a lot of information coming at you really, really quickly. So promise there's something at the end here for you. So just stick around. Look, Notion is your single source of truth. Now, I will tell you, I don't use Notion as my project management or task management system. And there is a really real reason for that. But I love Notion as a single source of truth, and it costs about $16 a month. This is the place where your team meeting agendas live. It's where your client dashboards and your CX definitions live. It's where your 1 million plus destinations tracker or your big vision tracker lives, where your marketing dashboards, your decision logs, all your SOPs live. Even those SOPs, again, related to the client experience and how particular clients need to be serviced. I love Notion for this. I think it does keep information organized really well, and Claude can actually handle the updating for you. So now there is no more hunting down those Google documents. There's no more updating the Google documents manually yourself. You don't have to create the 400-page master SOP document that everyone has to click Control F to try and go find the one keyword in. You now have it laid out in a very organized way where you can easily reference it within Notion. Claude is the one that's going to actually keep this current for you. Again, no more outdated Google documents, no more outdated SOPs, no more 14 versions that, again, you forgot to put in the archive folder or just delete off of your drive. It's now fully updated by Claude, more particularly by your AI integrator. So now your team, again, whether they are AI or actual real people, your virtual assistant, your executive assistant, they know where to find your processes. They know where to find your client information. They know what good looks like related to your client experience. They know where to find your meeting agendas for the important get-togethers that you have coming up. There's no more searching, again, through those outdated Google documents. And as I said, doing this and setting this up in my own business, this has made my drive days and my walks look a little bit different. I mean, I love to practice or make use of Steve Jobs' practice of taking a walk and clearing things out of my brain. And this is one of the things that actually allows that to happen for me. The system is going to still run, and now you have more space to lead without being stuck in front of your computer. So my drive days, like before we leave, I do typically work a little bit in the morning. And so I'll open Notion, I'll review the week's priorities and constraints, what the team might actually need, make sure we're making forward progress. And then as I'm driving, this is my time to actually talk things out with Claude, specifically with my AI integrator. And it helps me actually prioritize the things that are really important. So during this time, say I have a 4-hour drive from not just Trace all the way up to Iowa, which I recently did, tasks are actually getting created and I'm assigning them out in Asana. And Kim, my executive assistant, she's taking care of them on her side. She already knows what to do because they have descriptions. The descriptions have the instructions, or she has the SOPs that are already laid out in Notion. the team actually has the full context and they know what to do and when it is due by. And then I don't have to follow up because we've developed that level of trust that I just know things are getting taken care of on my side. And so that's what part of what this will create for you as well. Um, while we're driving, Notion also gets updated. So say I want to work on my upcoming team meeting agenda for next week, we can do that. And then Claude, my AI integrator, they can actually update and create it in Notion. And I just go in and review the next day and make sure there was no context missing. We can update client notes, priority documents, all of it. Again, while I'm actually driving my car, I'm not in front of my computer. And the fourth one, actually, this is probably the most valuable one of all. Stuff that used to take me an actual full day, it now takes me a couple of hours. I spend a couple of hours most Fridays actually updating the priorities for a lot of my clients because, again, I operate as their actual personal integrator. And then I take all of that contextual information, I put it into my AI integrator. It has all the context because it's actually connected to Fathom and other resources. It pulls all of the context together for me, and we actually work through what the priorities will be for the next week. Because it has the additional context, it is able to do it so much faster, and I don't have to sit there and organize a document by myself and spend 15 minutes just handling what the layout looks like. It has it, it knows the layout I'd actually like to use, and then again, it's moving the important things into Notion. And this is why my RV life works so well. So for those of you who missed it in the beginning, I have been traveling now for almost 2 years with my family. I do work from an RV. I am building my 7-figure business from RV. My partner, actually, he works in an RV, or he travels as well with his family. It's actually how we met. And so again, this why this type of business works for me. It is because of these types of systems. So I may bore you a little bit here. I hope you don't fall asleep. If you didn't hear me before, I love math, and I love to talk specifically founder to math, because a lot of people, when we come from a place of the technician or having worked for someone else before, we tend to think in terms of just cost and expense. Oh, this is going to cost me this much money. Oh, this is that much of expense. When you're a founder, you've got to flip that. It is fine to spend a little money on something if it's going to produce an actual return for you. Second to that is that most of us as founders fail to actually assign a dollar amount to our role. And so for most of my clients, I recommend assigning $150 to $200 an hour. Now, depending on your field, that number may need to be a lot higher, but this is just where I recommend most people start. Once you start to do this, you will actually start to see that all of our time actually has a cost to it. And us optimizing for actual cash can limit our abilities to grow. So your role as CEO is to stop optimizing solely for cash when it means there could be a return on the investment. In this case, we're talking about very minor expenses. So Claude Pro, again, is about $20 a month. Notion's about $16 a month. This full end-to-end CEO operating system tech stack is less than $200 a month. A fractional integrator, it's going to be $3,000 to $10,000 a month just for that person. But this tech stack is actually the system, actually the fundamental part of your business, or the foundational part of your business, that is going to save you at a minimum of 8 of 10 hours per week. Now, as you continue to grow and hire additional people, that number of hours reclaimed becomes much higher. So if you multiply the savings just off using this tech stack by that 8 to 10 hours per week in that $150 an hour amount, the annual return on this type of investment is roughly $36,000. So to me, like, it's a no-brainer. It is time to think about how to operate your business a little bit differently and not think about the cost of $36 or even $76 a month versus the time it's actually going to save you. Okay. This actually ran a little bit shorter than I intended, but I did mention in most of my communications that what I really wanted to do at the end of this was to give you the opportunity to go out and actually build your own AI Integrator. And so I'm going to show you in just a moment how you can actually do that. I'm going to give you 7 days of free access to my CEO Foundations community. There is no commitment required from you. It is totally free. You're going to get the opportunity to sign in and again go through the complete workflow to build your own AI integrator and actually learn how to operate with it. It is a step-by-step course that you can use to build this right now. Set up Claude in this way. Go ahead and get Notion set up. And again, it's going to show you how to operate it with it on a weekly and monthly basis. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And pull this up so I can show you how to do it. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link here in the chat, actually. Let me do that really quickly. And when you sign in, it's very simple. So I have dropped the link in the chat. When you sign in, all you have to do is go to the classroom here and scroll down. And this course is completely free and open to you. So you can hop in, you can go ahead, and you can actually work through this course and get your AI integrator set up for your own business to help you actually start to, again, identify the outcomes you're actually committed to prioritize the actions that you should actually be taking, and to help actually, manage and measure the metrics that are important to realizing the goals that you're setting in your business. Once you've gone through this course, I'd love to hear exactly how it's gone for you and how it's working. I would love if you'd reach out to me and just, Christy at bearscalesolutions.com, and just let me know again how it's all going. There's no commitment for you. You can leave before the 7 days is up. If you would like to stay within the community, I will tell you that you will get access to a free micro course just like this every single month. You also have access to one free group coaching call every single month where we're going to answer your questions about what's going on in your business and how, I just see that there's not anything. Okay, I'm going to drop it in here again. Trisha, are you able to see that? Woo, yay. Okay, good. Just want to make sure that it was already in there. But anyways, if you do want to stay into the community, again, I am going to be releasing a new course similar to this every single month. You will have free access to that micro course. And then also you have access to a one-time a month free group coaching call. So you can come ask whatever questions you have as a founder. Again, between my partner and myself, we've launched 8 businesses in some way or shape or form. And I'm sorry if you're hearing my kids. And we are happy to answer your questions and help you again, just avoid all of those mistakes that we have both made in the past, because there have been numerous. I always say I'm only here because I've literally made every single mistake that there is in the book over the past 15 years. And if it doesn't work for you, again, just leave the community and, pay attention for the next free training that I host just like this live. So I have really loved being here with you. And if anyone is open to it and you're still here, I'd love to hear it in the chat. If you have any other questions, I could answer for you. Or if anything came up for you during the training that you would like me to speak a little bit more into, again, I have time and I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the community. Again, would love to hear how the integrator is working out for you after you take the time to set it up. So are there any questions from anyone? Let's stop my share. You guys get a visual picture into my RV bedroom here, so how I operate. Well, awesome. Amazing, guys. So I don't see any questions coming up. I really appreciate everyone's time. And again, I hope you got something out of it. And at a minimum, go ahead and get your AI integrator set up for your business. So thanks, guys, and happy Wednesday. I hope everyone has a wonderful week.